It's Wulf, and it's a new 15 first impressions. This one is about a mod for Call of Duty 4. This one is Call of Duty 4 Frontlines Forever. I've covered a few mods in this format before, and one that you guys might remember in particular was Call of Duty Rio. That was primarily developed and attributed to Freddy Hajas and Blood Culture Multigaming, and this one also was primarily made by and attributed to Freddy Hajas. In particular, Call of Duty Rio was actually a mod of this mod, so a mod of a mod. After I uploaded the 15 first impressions of Call of Duty Rio, Freddy Hajas actually left a pretty long comment explaining a lot of the stuff about the mod and answering a lot of questions that I had about Call of Duty Rio, and that was where he mentioned that Call of Duty Rio was actually built upon Frontlines Forever. Frontlines Forever is a very big mod that adds quite a bit of stuff to the game, and there's really too many things to list, so I'm going to make sure to leave in the description a link to Freddy Hajas' website where he goes into all the details about that. It's mods.hajas.org. There's details about all of his mods. He's very good at documenting and explaining everything that he's made, but as a general overview, there's just a ton of stuff that has been added or tweaked by Frontlines Forever. There's new game modes, there's new maps, there's new mechanics, there's all sorts of different changes. And actually, you might already notice in the gameplay that there's some stuff in this mod that is very similar to other stuff in Call of Duty Rio, which makes sense, given that Call of Duty Rio was based on Frontlines Forever. But for example, all of the matches seem to be in hardcore mode, so that's another thing that's different about this mod. And speaking of Call of Duty Rio, and also changes made to the game, I think now is a really important time to note that I'm not totally sure if I installed this mod correctly. So the way I installed this was actually through Call of Duty Rio. On Call of Duty Rio's main menu, there's options to play both Frontlines Forever and also Star Wars Frontlines, which is another Hajas mod that I would like to make another 15 first impressions on in the future, and that is what I used to download this mod. I didn't actually install it like through an actual normal download like I had with Call of Duty Rio. So when I pressed that button, I initially expected it to download a bunch of stuff and then bring me to a Frontlines Forever menu. But actually what it did was drop me right into a Frontlines Forever match. It still downloaded a bunch of things, but it didn't actually give me a menu. Then when I exited that Frontlines Forever match, I was at a menu for just Frontlines Forever instead of Call of Duty Rio. However, that method of downloading Frontlines Forever, I'm not totally sure works entirely correctly, because when I've played some mods for various games in the past, sometimes if you join a server that has things that you don't have, your computer will automatically download those things, but oftentimes it's just the things that you need to play on that server at that moment. So I'm not totally sure if downloading it through Call of Duty Rio downloaded everything in the mod or only the things necessary for that specific match. I'm mostly saying that because I didn't really notice any changes to the weapons, and on the list of features on the Hajas mod website, it notes that there's 2,400 weapon modes with 16 predefined modes. The thing is, I'm not entirely sure what that actually means, so I don't know if it's actually something that I would have seen, so I could be wrong. It could have downloaded totally fine, but I'm just not totally sure if that's the way you're actually supposed to install it. Nonetheless though, it did work, and I was able to play, and I did have a lot of fun playing it, just like I did when I played Call of Duty Rio. Call of Duty 4 is one of my favorite games, so I'm always happy to have more ways to play Call of Duty 4, and Frontlines Forever does add a lot of really cool stuff. The gameplay that you guys are seeing right now includes gameplay from two different modes. One is Escort and one is Extermination. Escort is a pretty normal, self-explanatory escort mode where one player plays as a VIP character and needs to be escorted to some sort of safe zone. Extermination is like Team Deathmatch, but every player only has one life, and the characters spawn on the same sides and then swap sides during intermissions. So it's a little bit like Team Deathmatch with search and destroy rules. Extermination is pretty self-explanatory, but I do want to jump back to Escort for a moment and talk about that a little bit more in depth. So in Escort mode, the VIP player does not start with a weapon, but can actually pick up other weapons from dead enemies or allies, and that's kind of interesting. I thought that was a pretty cool feature actually, to start out without one, but then be able to kind of scrounge one as you go along. Also, the point that the VIP needs to be escorted to does not initially appear on the map, which is kind of interesting because it means the VIP and the defenders have to sort of wander around for a moment and just protect themselves before they actually know where to go. Now, I was only playing with bots, and I'm not totally sure if that was a connection thing on my end or not, because I looked for servers, and I'm going to talk about servers a little bit more in a moment, but I looked for servers and I couldn't find any, so I just did the join the front line button. When I did that, it always put me into a match, and that kind of reminds me of how Call of Duty Rio works a little bit, how you press the button on there and you just join the match. There's only like 1 or 2 servers going at a time, it seems like, at least in Call of Duty Rio, and the join the front lines button here acts kind of similar to that. But also, any sort of server or connection issues may be on my end. I know when I played Call of Duty Rio, I seemed to have a couple of weird connection issues with ping and stuff, and Hajas noted in the comments a couple of settings that I could have changed to possibly try to fix that, but I didn't get around to looking at that for this video, so again, that could just totally be me, or it also just might have been a bad time of day to be playing, and I might have been the only one there. The bot characters function very similarly to how they do in Call of Duty Rio, where they're not the smartest bot players ever, but they're also not bad. They will kind of just randomly snap onto you and one-shot you sometimes, but they also are relatively balanced. They're not bad enemies to play against, is what I'm trying to get at, and they're also not bad allies to have, so they're not bad to play against. It'd be better with real players, but playing against the AI is still pretty fun. Also, I think it's important to note in regards to servers and things like leveling up and stuff like that, that I remember in Call of Duty Rio, there were some features that were locked behind being a supporter of the game, which makes sense. I mean, it is a pretty small venture. It needs to have some sort of funding somehow to keep running. And I'm not totally sure if this is similar. After I did that first 15 of Call of Duty Rio, Hajas enabled my account on Rio to have access to all the features like a supporter would, and I'm not sure if that carries over to this game or if it's separate or if it's even necessary, because I did seem to be able to level up like normal in this game, which was not what happened in Call of Duty Rio when I played it until after I had gotten that sort of like supporter feature function. So I just wanted to note that as well. One thing that I really liked about Frontlines Forever was the custom maps that I played on. I thought that they all seemed to just be like genuine fan creations. They gave off the vibes of something that somebody actually put a lot of effort into. And it's one of those things where sometimes you can sort of always tell that with mods for games, like where maps added through mods may not necessarily have the commercial polish of maps from the original game, but they often seem to have some sort of genuineness about them, where you can tell that somebody worked really hard on making them. And additionally, I really liked those 2 modes that I played in this video. I think that there's a lot of really cool sounding modes in this mod, and those 2 were definitely fun to play. But Frontlines Forever does suffer from a little bit of an issue that I ran into with Call of Duty Rio, where sometimes the modes are a little bit too much for their own good. I remember in Call of Duty Rio, there would be times where matches could last like a really long time in some modes, and if nobody else was playing and you were just playing with bots, there wasn't really that much fun to be had. And when I was first trying to record some footage for this 15 first impressions, I ran into a match like that. It was called Air Battle, I believe, and I just couldn't really tell what was going on. The map for it was really kind of too big, and it just didn't really feel like that much fun to play, and the match lasted for sort of too long. I think that in a game that has somewhat limited server availability like this one does, like how I was only able to get into a match through the join the front lines button, that sometimes that can be a little bit problematic, because if you end up in a mode that you don't really enjoy for way too long, you might just stop playing. So anyway though, that is about all that I have to say about Frontlines Forever for this 15 first impressions. If you like Call of Duty 4, it is definitely worth checking out Frontlines Forever, because there is a lot of fun to be had in this mod, despite the couple of oddities here and there. It's very clear that Hajas puts a lot of hard work into all of the various projects that he makes, so I would definitely suggest checking out Frontlines Forever. I also would suggest checking out Call of Duty Rio. I already have a 15 first impressions on that if you want to check that out. And I will hopefully soon have another 15 first impressions on Star Wars Frontlines. So thank you guys for watching the video, and here is the rest of the gameplay.
Get ready to move! Good job, team! Get ready for the next round! Team hardcore! Comrades, prepare for battle! Good job, team. Get ready for the next round. Team hardcore. Comrades, prepare for battle. Get ready to move! We are victorious! Good work, comrades! Hardcore team deathmatch. Take no prisoners, comrades! Good job, team! Get ready for the next round! Switching sides. Hardcore team deathmatch. Take no prisoners, comrades! Overtime! Good job, team! Get ready for the next round! Switching sides. Hardcore team deathmatch. Take no prisoners, comrades! Good job, team! Get ready for the next round! Switching sides. Hardcore Hardcore team deathmatch. Take no prisoners, comrades. Good job, team. Get ready for the next round. Switching sides. Hardcore team deathmatch. Take no prisoners, comrades. We've lost that round, but it is not over yet. Get ready for the next one. Halftime. Hardcore team deathmatch. Take no prisoners, comrades. Good job, team! Get ready for the next round! Switching sides. Hardcore team deathmatch. Take no prisoners, comrades!